Today we're looking at chapter 3, lesson 4, equations of lines. We are continuing our discussion on parallel and perpendicular lines and the relationship between the slopes. Now in chapter 3, lesson 3, we talked about the slope of a line and how to determine if slopes of lines were, or if two lines were parallel or perpendicular based on the slopes. Now just as a review, we know that the slopes of parallel lines are the same. So I'm going to just make a note to myself, parallel lines have the same slope. Okay. We know that the slope of perpendicular lines are opposite reciprocals. So perpendicular lines slopes are opposite reciprocal. Okay, opposite means they change sign. So if it was positive, the other slope is negative. And the reciprocal flips a fraction. So if we had a slope that was negative 1/3, the opposite reciprocal would be positive 3/1. In example 1, we're going to determine whether the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. We have two equations. In letter A, we have y equals 2x plus 4. That's given in slope-intercept form. And we have 2x minus y equals 10. That is given in standard form. Now, when a line is in slope-intercept form, I know that the slope is the number right in front of x. Okay, that is m. Okay, so for my first equation, y equals 2x plus 4, my slope is 2, so we would say m is equal to 2. In my second equation, I need to rewrite the equation in slope-intercept form. In other words, I'm going to solve it for y. To solve it for y, I would subtract 2x from both sides. When I subtract 2x from both sides, I have negative y is equal to, I'm going to put the negative 2x first to keep it in slope-intercept form, and I have a positive 10 and plus 10. The final step in solving for y is to divide each term by negative 1, so I can get y by itself, and I have a positive y equals negative 2x divided by negative 1 is a positive 2x. 10 divided by negative 1 is negative 10. So this equation slope-intercept form is y equals 2x minus 10. Now the slope of this line is also 2. Okay, so notice the slope of both the first equation and the second equation are 2. They are the same. Because these two lines have the same slope, we say these two lines are parallel. If I were to graph them on a coordinate plane, they would not touch. Problem letter B, we have 3x minus y equals negative 19 and x plus 3y equals negative 10. I need to rewrite both equations in slope-intercept form. I'm going to begin by taking each equation and rewriting it below to give myself some space. So I have 3x minus y is equal to negative 19, and I have x plus 3y is equal to negative 10. Okay. First equation, I need to solve it for y and put it in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. Remaining is negative y equals, put negative 3x first, and I have a negative 19. Finally, to get y by itself, I divide every single term by negative 1. So y equals negative 3x divided by negative 1 is a positive 3x. Negative 19 divided by negative 1 is a positive 19. So the slope of this equation, this line, is 3. For my second equation, to write it in slope-intercept form, I subtract x from both sides. We have positive 3y equals negative x comes first, minus 10. Okay, I divide all terms by 3. We have y equals. Now, there's really a negative 1 in front of that x, so I can pull out the fraction in front. This is negative 1/3 x. Negative 10 divided by 3 does not divide nicely, so we'll keep it negative 10/3. Okay, so the slope of this line is negative 1/3. Now, they're definitely not the same, so the two lines are not parallel. Okay, but here's what we need to notice. 3 is positive, the 1/3 is negative, so they are opposites. 3 as a fraction is 3 over 1. If I flip that, I get 1 over 3. So this is an example of two slopes that are opposite reciprocals, and therefore these two lines are perpendicular. Okay, letter D says, give an example of two equations of lines that are parallel. How do you know they are parallel? I'm going to have you give an example of two equations of lines that are parallel, explain how you know the lines are parallel, and we will discuss this next class. Okay, example 2. Find the slope of the line given 2 points on the line. What would be the slope of a line parallel? What would be the slope of a line perpendicular? Okay, to find the slope of the line given 2 points, we're going to use the slope formula given above. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. I have two ordered pairs. I have x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. I'm going to plug this in the slope formula. Slope formula is y sub 2 minus y sub 1, all divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Plug in the values that correspond to the variable. So in my numerator, I have 8 minus 4. In the denominator, I have 3 minus 2. Simplify. 8 minus 4 is 4. 3 minus 2 is 1. And 4 divided by 1 is 4. So the slope is 4. That's part 1. Find the slope. Second question, what would be the slope of a line parallel? We know parallel lines have the same slope. So the slope of a parallel line would also be 4. Next, what would be the slope of a line perpendicular? Slopes of perpendicular lines are opposite reciprocals. Okay, so first of all, the given slope was positive, so the slope of my perpendicular line is going to be negative. Now, the fraction was 4 over 1. If I take the reciprocal, I flip that, and I get 1/4. So the slope of a line perpendicular to the given line is negative 1/4. Okay, letter B. I first need to find the slope of the line. If it's helpful to you, label your points x1, y1, x2, and y2. Find the slope. y2 minus y1, I have negative 2 minus 2. x2 minus x1, x2 is 1, minus x sub 1 is negative 1. Negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. 1 minus negative 1 is a positive 2. So I have a slope of negative 2. Okay, so the slope of the line, given the 2 points, is negative 2. Now, I need to find the slope of a line parallel. Parallel lines have the same slope. So the slope I would use for a line parallel is also negative 2. Okay. Perpendicular lines have slopes that are opposite reciprocals. Okay. Well, first of all, opposite changes the sign. So the given slope was negative. The slope of a perpendicular line will be positive. Now, to change 2 to a fraction, I would put that over 1. To find the reciprocal, I flip the fraction, so 2 over 1 would become 1 over 2, or 1/2. So the slope of a line perpendicular would be positive 1/2. Okay, once you have completed both the 3.3 and the 3.4 notes, turn in your Chapter 3 workbook, and there is a 3.3 and 3.4 homework assignment for you to complete. Good luck!